Good morning, everyone. I hope you are all having a wonderful Friday. Hi, my name is Carly Bell, and I love to do machine embroidery tutorials. And once a month, we get together for a little something called Sip and Stitch, where we're going to do an embroidery tutorial from start to finish. You get to see all the nitty-gritty details, and I'm so excited about today's project and to be back because I took the summer off. So it's been a long time since I've talked to you guys. First off, I want to apologize. As soon as I clicked the go live button, it told me something's wrong and it won't connect to Facebook. So any of my friends, all my friends here that are watching on YouTube, if you're in my Facebook group and all those things, if you wouldn't mind going tell everyone it's showing on YouTube for some reason. Facebook is not working. So I apologize about that. But good morning. Good morning. I see a lot of familiar names in the chat. So glad y'all are with me. So if you've been following for a while and joined in for Sip and Stitch, y'all know I took the summer off for the most part. I still did a sew along that I did not finish, which I'll talk about in a second. We went on an amazing family vacation that I loved every second of. And I went to the Applique getaway in Dallas, Texas, which was so much fun. I loved every second of it. And it was a great, great trip. So I have not done any live sip and stitch tutorials since May. So I might be a little rusty. But first thing I want to tell you, if you were following along, we were working on the Main Street Celebration bench pillow from Kimberbell. For this sew along, I recorded the videos and then put them on YouTube. And I have a page on my website dedicated to this sew along, and it has all the videos on there. However, we got to the last block, and that's when I ran out of time. So I still have about 3 tutorials left to make and post, and that is how to quilt the borders, how to put it all together, and add the binding and embellishment. So we'll see how many videos we'll do for all that, but I still have all my blocks in my box, not put together. So if you didn't finish it, you're not the only one. But I did hear from some people that did finish it, and even one of our friends, I don't want to mess up her name because I just replied back to her email, but I think her name was Retha. Let me check real quick. Yes, Retha. She finished both Main Street celebrations and Oh So Delightful, which we did in the spring, and entered them into her county fair and won ribbons, blue ribbon and red ribbon. So congrats to Retha. Great job, not only for finishing it, but for entering in your fair and winning and everything. That's amazing. So very, very happy and proud of her. So the rest of Main Street Celebrations is coming, and those will just be recorded and posted on YouTube. And I will email everyone that is participating in that sew along and tell you when those videos are ready. And the people that are on that email list are the ones that went and downloaded the free organizational chart that I made for this. That's on the website. But I'll put it in the newsletter too if you are not on that list and want to see the rest of Main Street Celebrations. So then Applique Getaway. So much fun. If you haven't heard of it before, this is an in-person embroidery expo. It happens every year in Dallas, Texas, every summer. Usually it's in July. I think one summer they had it in June. But it's where you get to go, and it's not just embroidery. It's like all kinds of fun stuff. I learned from Eve at the Baby's Booty about rhinestoning, and I got all kind of rhinestone stuff from her, and even my girls were excited about that. So we're going to be playing with that at home here in my craft room. But they had rhinestones, sublimation. They even had a laser company, laser engraving and cutting machine. They had, all of the best vendors for buying supplies and blanks. That's my favorite part. I'd have to, well, it's one, there's lots of favorite parts, but I love going shopping, which y'all know. And I got some really pretty vinyls, and I got glittery metallic threads. I got all kinds of stuff. I think most of it is still outside of my craft room because I really can't fit much more in here. But loved shopping, loved teaching, and then I have to say my favorite was getting to meet so many of y'all and getting to put faces to names that I see here on YouTube and in Facebook all the time, and getting to actually talk to real people is very, very, very nice. So I loved meeting everyone. I see Shay is here. She's one of the people that I got to meet at the show, and hopefully she is going to be one of your instructors next year. So if you are interested, they've already set the date for the Applique getaway next year. It's going to be like July 16th through the 19th, something like that. Still in Dallas, Texas, same Westin hotel. Registration is probably going to open in the late spring, so stay tuned for all of that. But go ahead and put in your vacation time if you work in the summer. Request off that weekend. Okay, so a couple other announcements is, this is me, and I'm sure lots of y'all have the same problem. We haven't finished this project, but we're going to start a new one. I got this whole setup. I can't even remember when I bought it. It was on sale on Kimberbell. Maybe last fall, like Christmassy time, or like early, like January. I can't remember. But this is another featured quilt from Kimberbell, and it's called Candy Corn Quilt Shop. And I want to do a sew along with this. And my plan is to start probably the first Thursday of September and go live almost every Tuesday and Thursday. So this will be a live sew along, unlike the Main Street celebration. So you can tune in live if you're available at that time and talk and chat and ask questions, or you can go and watch the replay anytime. So more information is going to be coming on this soon. I'll have a whole page dedicated to it on my website with where you can get all the supplies. And then the first video we'll do will actually be like how to prep everything, how to get everything ready. So you still have time if you want to participate in this. You can start grabbing stuff now. I'm gonna try to get the website, the webpage up as soon as possible so y'all know where to go buy things, because I found the fabric kit on Etsy. I bought all the other stuff from Kimberbell directly, and then the fabric kit on Etsy. So that is the plan for our next sew along. And then, I think it was Susan. Someone told me about Candy Cane Lane being on sale. And if you've heard me talk about Kimberbell projects, this has been on my wish list for forever. And I think my girlfriend's quilt shop had it on sale. So after we're done with Candy Corn Quilt Shop, we will continue on our candy theme and do Candy Cane Lane, which is a Christmas bench pillow. We'll see if we can fit all these things in. But let's get to the real project of what we're doing today. And if we have a lot of new people joining us, welcome. We have maybe some friends from Applique Alley that are here. If y'all have watched any of my past ones, I'm a big fan of Applique Alley. We've done several of their designs and projects previously. And this week we're doing a bag tag, but we're putting a spin on it. And we're making a bag tag that is a glitter confetti shaker. So there is a piece of clear vinyl in front of the regular bag tag design, and it's filled with confetti and these cute little clay pieces. And then we also turned it into like really decorative piece by adding a bunch of ribbon on the back. So this has been going crazy in the Applique Alley Facebook group. So I was like, oh, we got to do this for Sip and Stitch. I was, as soon as I saw the picture of this, I was like, I need this in my life. It's so stinking cute. And there is someone in the Applique Alley fan group on Facebook. Her name is Nicole, and she has a TikTok channel, and she has great videos showing her process for making these. And she is who I learned how to make all the pretty ribbon from. And I think her TikTok channel is One Crafty Mama. But if you go join the Applique Alley Facebook group, you'll see her in there. She does this as a business, and she makes really, really cute stuff. So a lot of inspiration from her. But I figured we would make a full length video going step by step on how to make these. And we're going to be making it on my PE800 embroidery machine, so you could see it on a flatbed machine. Because Nicole is using a multi-needle machine. So if that gives you a little bit better visual, we're going to do it on the flatbed machine today. So that is what we're doing. I wanted to show you some others. So my main things I want to cover today is not only how to make this from start to finish, but to teach you how to turn any bag tag into what we're going to call a shaker bag tag. Now, this little notebook design wasn't made to be a shaker. We manipulate it. It's really only one step, but we change it up a little bit so that we can add the clear vinyl and the goodies inside. But we're going to go over how to turn any bag tag into a shaker tag. So this is a cheer one. That's also on Applique Alley. It's a little megaphone. And I added the vinyl and I added a little too much glitter to this one because I can't see Morgan's name fully. But we can turn any bag tag into a shaker. And the other thing I wanted to go over is a little trick that I think is going to help for those of y'all that have maybe made these before and had a lot of trouble with the confetti and glitter going everywhere when you're stitching the vinyl. I have a little trick we can do in Embrilliance to help with that step. So that's what we're going to go over today. And let's go ahead and get into all the nitty-gritty details. So I see someone's asking, so what size needle am I using for the bag tag? I pretty much always have a 7511 needle on my machine. It's usually, I think, a ballpoint Oregon or Schmetz 7511 needle. So nothing special with the needle. We are going to go over the clear vinyl. That can be specific where you need a certain gauge. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Let's see. What size are the shaker tags? So most of them come in as little as 3 inches and as big as I think like 7 inches. So when you purchase the design from Applique Alley, you will get all the sizes. This one is a 3-inch. This one is a 4-inch. So you can see it's a bit bigger, not only because of the shape and stuff, but the overall size. So you can make them big if you want to. And then most of them come in a 3-inch, which means you can fit them in a 4x4 hoop. So that's what we're going to make another one of these today for Elisa's little best friend, Kelsey, so they can have matching little book bag tags. And we're going to make it in a 4x4 hoop. All right. Any other questions I missed earlier? Sorry, the chat's been going. I can't keep up with it. All right. Okay, so I'm going to switch you over to, let me put this over here, my craft table camera. So we can start talking about supplies and things we need. Okay, so here's a closer look at the shaker bag tag. You see all the stuff in it, and the ribbon and everything. So we're going to go over how to make all of this. So let's go through it step by step. So first, I'm using a 4x4 hoop because this 3-inch tag fits in there. My megaphone one was 4-inch, did not fit in a 4x4 hoop. I had to make these in a 5x7 hoop. So depending, the 4-inch size probably won't fit in any 4x4 hoop. So keep that in mind. But for this one, the 3-inch, we can do. I'm using tearaway stabilizer for the stabilizer for the project. And as with all in the hoop projects, all you need to do is hoop the stabilizer, and that's it. And then we get started. My favorite part, not having to figure out placement or anything like that. So we have hoop, we have stabilizer. Then depending on the bag tag you're making, if you're making the notebook or you're making the megaphone or anyone you're making, you just need to look at that design and decide your two main things is what is the front and the back going to look like. For me, I always like to be consistent where whatever I add on the front, I also add on the back. So you'll need two pieces of, you can use faux leather, you can use cork, marine vinyl. You could technically also use felt. Mainly you are looking for things that have, you can cut and the raw edge won't fray. But usually faux leather, cork, vinyl, those are the things that are going to hold up the best. So for this megaphone one, I used this vinyl, which I got from Glitterbug Fairy at the Applique Getaway, and it's so pretty, so pretty. And then I also have this vinyl. This is a white glitter I got from Sweet and Sassy Blanks. So I have links to some of my favorite places that I buy vinyl from in the description box below, along with links to Applique Alley, these two designs, and then just their general page with all their bag tags, so that you can go and look and get some fun vinyl and get some fun bag tag designs. So depending on the tag you're making, you're going to need a front and a back. So I have that. This particular design also has an applique piece that is the note paper, and that is white. So I have a piece of white just for that piece of applique. And lastly, because we're turning this into a shaker tag, we're also going to use a piece of clear vinyl. I see someone asks about the link for supplies. Yes, so if you look at the description box below the video, let's see, this, the description box under the video will have links to lots of the things, but on my website, we have the Sip and Stitch homepage, which is where I put all of the info from, so this is my website, Carly Bell, and if you go to Sip and Stitch homepage, you'll see the schedule. I'll add to it as we go. So yeah, so we're starting the fall schedule now. So here's August, and then you'll see today's project and a list of all the supplies. So here's the bag tag designs. I'm going to be using Embrilliance Essentials to manipulate it a little bit. These are all great places to buy embroidery. Faux leather embroidery vinyl. And then these are some clear vinyl options. I got links to the little slices of confetti and chunky glitter, stabilizer, needles, scissors, all those kinds of things. Even the little metal luggage loop at the end. So you can get all that information at carlybell.com and then go to Sip and Stitch. All right. So hope that helps everyone out. Now let's talk about the clear vinyl. We have done clear vinyl projects in the past, right? I think this was our May Sip and Stitch where we made this in the hoop luggage tag, and it has clear vinyl here. And then I think back in March, we made this in the hoop zippered coin purse or ID holder. And for these projects, I used, I think, 12 gauge clear vinyl. And this is a little bit too thin, and I'm going to tell you why. And oh, I forgot to mention something else we're going to learn how to do today. A lot of these bag tags have a really dense satin stitch on the outer edge. For these projects, these were just like a bean stitch. So it tacked down the clear vinyl, but it didn't like perforate it, if that makes sense. But the super dense satin stitch will perforate the vinyl. And after you're done, your whole pretty design, you'll notice the clear vinyl pulls away from it and all your glitter falls out. So this was my first test run of this project. And I know the thin vinyl is too thin and the satin stitch is too dense. So we're going to fix that today. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a thicker clear vinyl. So this is a 16 gauge clear vinyl I got from Hobby Lobby. They also have a 20 gauge clear vinyl that has like an orange label. That was not available at my Hobby Lobby. So I got the 16 gauge, but the 16 gauge does work. It's better than the 12. And when we get into Embrilliance, I'm going to show you how to reduce the density of this last satin stitch so that it doesn't cut through your vinyl and cause it to perforate when it's all done. All right, so clear vinyl, 16 gauge, preferably 20 gauge. I know it's available at Hobby Lobby. My Punk Embroidery, which I have linked for you on my Sip and Stitch homepage, they have clear vinyl, I believe in 16 gauge. And I think I found some on Amazon as well that I linked. But the one I'm using is from Hobby Lobby. All right, so those are the main things we need there. Then, of course, we need thread, scissors, all the normal things that we use pretty much for every project. But now the special thing is the glitter. So one lesson that a lot of people learned in Applique Alley's Facebook group is no fine glitter, only chunky glitter. So no little teeny tiny pieces. And for some that they sell on Amazon, it will say fine and chunky. You don't want that. You literally just want chunky. These were at Walmart. And I can't tell you where it was in the store because I did the grocery pickup. But I'm guessing it's in the craft section. But it's so cute. It came with 4 different kinds of chunky glitter in one little shaker container. So this is all I've bought and so far I'm trying to be good because I don't know really how many of these I'm going to make, but I'm so tempted to go to Michael's and Hobby Lobby and go buy all the little cute chunky glitter pieces. I did buy this on Amazon. So this is a like variety pack of the little clay pieces of confetti. And they have smiley faces in here. They have, looks like a teddy bear. They have fruit slices. They have a little penguin, flowers, strawberries, orange slices, all kinds of cute stuff. So now I want to say at Michael's, I saw Nicole did a little video on her TikTok channel with all the beautiful options they have at Michael's, and they'll have like little slices of just footballs or just baseballs or just soccer balls. So if you're making any of these tags for a specific sport, you can go find little pieces that coordinate with that. And then you can get things in just specific colors. So like this, I didn't put any of this in here because her school's colors are purple and gold. And I thought this would just throw it off. So I just put gold and silver chunky glitter, and this has kind of a yellow and purplish butterfly, so I put that in there. But little clay slices, these I bought on Amazon, but Michael's, Hobby Lobby, they are going to have a bunch of options. So that is the goodness that we're going to put on the inside. All right, and then this is a metal luggage loop. Also got this on Amazon. The pack I bought came with like a rainbow of colors, and I'm running low, so I need to buy more. And ribbon. I got all these fun ribbons from Hobby Lobby mostly. And every other week at Hobby Lobby, they have ribbon, I think half off. And then they also usually have some in the clearance section. So like I got these for 49 cents, 87 cents the last time I went. So these are just a variety of different ribbons that I already had here in my craft room. If you don't have any ribbon, you can go get a few rolls. They also sell like a bundle. I noticed the last time I went, but I didn't buy it because it wasn't on sale. But they had like a whole bundle of ribbons cut that was super cute. And like one came in like bright colors and one came in pastel-y colors. So I wanted to buy that the next time I go. But I'm doing good with what I found in my craft room. Like with this one, I tried to keep it blue and white. And so these are the ribbons I had in my room that I used. And then I still have to make Ellie's, but I'm going to do all purple and gold ribbons on hers. All right, any questions about the supplies? Sorry if I missed anything. Okay, so which one is thinner? I'm guessing no, not that one. Hobby Lobby Red Label, yes. Which one is thinner? I'm guessing you're talking about the clear vinyl. The lower the number, the thinner, the lower the gauge, number of the gauge, the thinner the vinyl is. It seems like the opposite of, it's like the opposite of thread though. But I'm trying to think of what I can compare it to. Okay, needles. Needles, the higher the number, the thicker the needle. The higher the number for vinyl, the thicker the vinyl is. So 16 to 20 gauge is going to be thicker than the 12 gauge that I already had in my craft room. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, compare it to needles. Did I miss the white vinyl gauge? So as far as my other vinyl pieces that I'm using, these don't, the white, the cork and stuff, these don't really have a gauge. These, I have some that are on the thin side. Marine vinyl, like true marine vinyl, is usually your thickest. I don't necessarily think you'll have any trouble with these. These usually don't get perforated like the clear vinyl particularly well. Never had trouble with any of these lifting up. Mouse. Norma said she shopped her house for all of her supplies. Well, Norma, you literally live in a craft store, so I want to go shop at your house for all my supplies too. Okay. I think that was it. Okay, someone else asked about the gauge of the colored vinyl. There's really no gauge on that. I've never noticed it written on anything. It's just as long as it's thicker than fabric and doesn't have a fraying raw edge. All right, so someone just asked about Embrilliance. What version do we need? Essentials. So that's going to be my next step now. We are going to hop on my computer and go into Essentials, and I'm going to show you step by step everything. Now, when my computer's going to look crazy for a second, and then you'll see my Essential screen. When I'm in here, I can't see any of your comments. So if you want to write them in the chat, but I'm probably going to need you to tell me again once I come back to the regular camera. So let's go to, let me get something to put my mouse on because it does not like just my cutting mat to move around on. Okay. All right. So everyone hopefully sees my Essentials screen now. And y'all see the little cheer megaphone with Ellie's name in it. And then this is the notebook one. This is the one we're going to make today. But I want you to look here and notice how things are kind of split up. And now we're going to, I probably should have did this before. Did I save it in the right spot? Let's see. Now we're going to go open it, embroidery designs. Okay, so here on my computer, this is where I save all my embroidery designs, and I have them organized in folders. This is something I teach in my embroidery design organizer. It's like a little mini course where I have a whole system for organizing things. But I usually get questions about that when I start showing this. So in the hoop and bag tags. And in here, I have them in alphabetical order, but I usually put the shop name in the front. So AA is all my Applique Alley ones. And I'm looking for the notebook. Apple. There it is right here. All right, here's my notebook tag. And we are going to open the 3-inch. And because I'm using a Brother, I'm going to go ahead and just open PES. So double click it. And now it opens in Embrilliance. So first thing I'm going to do is my hoop right now is 5x7. I'm going to change it to 4x4. So I can zoom in on my hoop and see things a little better. So this is what the bag tag is going to look like the first time you open it. And I can expand this and I can see all the steps. So let's go through it together. First step is placement stitch. Second is a tack down. This is going to be behind your note paper or the front of it, the the first front of the tag. Then we have a placement stitch and a tack down stitch for what is going to be your note paper. All right, after that, we have the lines on the paper, the circles, the little line here, and then we have the satin stitch around the note paper. Next, there's a decorative bean stitch that cuts through the middle of the satin stitch. This is very cute, but also is a personal preference. So if you don't care for that bean stitch going through your satin, you can delete or skip this step. All right, next we have another placement stitch going around the back. This is meant for attaching the back of your bag tag to the design. So this is when you actually tape a piece of vinyl on the back side of your hoop and it attaches it to the front. And now it's hiding all the embroidery from the note page. And so when you're done, this is your final satin stitch. You're actually going to trim your front and back right after this step so that the satin stitch covers the raw edge. And then they have a stitch here for what's going to be your eyelet. I think this is here, so if you want to punch that hole before it does the satin stitch, you can do that. I skipped this step. I end up just punching it after. And then we have the satin stitch for the hole, and we have, again, that decorative bean stitch going through the satin and the satin hole. So there's your normal thing. So there's nothing in here that is allowing you to make this a shaker bag tag. But it's very easy to do just by duplicating this step. This is the step that adds the back on. Basically, we need to do this step twice. On the front to add the clear vinyl, and then we do it again on the back to add the back piece of vinyl. If you're really good, you can do your clear vinyl and your back at the same time. I am not that good, so I am going to just copy this right here and paste it and duplicate that step. Now, if you're on your machine, you can just go backwards and repeat that step. But I want to take this a step further. So now it's the last step. I need to move it to where it's right after this one. So I'm going to select it and drag it until it's underneath this one. So now we have this and this. And notice it separates it. Now I have a 2 and a 3 going on here. But if you know anything about your single needle machine, if you have 2 steps that are the same color, your machine is not going to stop. So these are both Wisteria Violet. So I need to change the color of this one to anything else so that my machine knows that it has to stop for that step. So I just did that. So now it goes, this will be my step where I add my vinyl and confetti, and this will be my step where I add my back. And then the rest continues as normal. Okay. Next, let's talk about how we can add the confetti even easier. So if this is my step where I'm adding my clear vinyl, my thought process was, instead of putting my confetti here in the middle, then laying my vinyl on top and stitching all this in one run, and now your machine's going to be shaking and that confetti is going to be going everywhere. You can use a stiletto or a chopstick or something to hold it down, and it does hold down for the most part, but you'll still get some shaking going on and things will shake off and things will get stuck in this seam line. So my thought process was, what if we just put the clear vinyl with no confetti and then stitch just 3 sides of this bag tag and stop. Then pour our confetti in and stitch the top part, enclosing the confetti in there. Now to do that, we need to create a color stop. And to create a color stop, you're going to go to the stitch simulator. This is going to show me everything on how my design stitched out. I can just drag this across and see, okay, there's my pages, there's my satin stitch, and then what's next? Oops. There's the bean stitch going through the satin stitch. Okay, right here. This is where this outline stitch starts, which is perfect, because then I can start stitching here and I could stop stitching here. And so what I'm going to do is just drag this until I get to the part where I think it would be good to stop. Right there. Okay. This would be a good place to stop. And so I hit the stop button. And basically what you're doing is you're telling the software that I want to stop here and make everything after this a different color so that my machine knows to stop. So I can pick whatever color as long as it's different. And now when I drag the stitch simulator, you'll see, okay, there's the beginning of my stitch where I'm going to tack down my vinyl. And then right here, it's hard to tell, but it's going to change colors. You see it's kind of a green color now. And so now that's a whole nother step on my objects panel over here. So now this is one step. I can just put the clear vinyl on with no confetti. And then once my confetti is in there, I put my hoop back on my machine and stitch the clear vinyl bit closed. So that is my trick for making adding confetti easier. All right, the last thing I want to show you that is important to change, and this is where the vinyl gets, I need to get out of here. So let me go to select tool. The clear vinyl can get perforated because this satin stitch is so dense. Now, Emily has started to go back into some of her designs and reducing the satin stitch, so this won't be a problem, but you'll only know that if you bought that design before and she emails you telling you she updated the file. But what you can do is go to that step. Notice here in the preference panel, we see the color. This is normally the only thing I'm paying attention to when I click on steps. However, there is a stitches option here, and you can click that. And this is a density adjustment. And this is, depending on what kind of stitch this is a satin stitch. I can slide this little bar over and reduce it. And so I'm going to reduce it to 20%. And now that satin stitch won't be so dense and it won't perforate my clear vinyl. All right. So those are all the changes that I make to make any bag tag a shaker bag tag. So first is you need to duplicate the outline step that usually is for adding your backing. You want to duplicate that. If you want to get fancy and make it to where you can easily put your confetti in without it shaking everywhere, you're going to create a color stop in the step that adds your clear vinyl, and then this is still your step to add your backing. And you're going to reduce the density of the last outline satin stitch. That is it. But we did forget the part where we actually personalize it, because most of these bag tags, you're going to want to add something to it. And so I'm going to use my lettering tool and type the name. And then you can choose whatever font you want. I think I did Farmhouse Lemonade for this one, but I can't remember where it was. Oh, I did a different one. I have way too many fonts. Okay, here we go. Farmhouse Lemonade. I find the 1/2 inch font worked well for me. And then I dragged it and put it where I wanted it on the lines. But again, we have the problem of this is the last step of the design. You don't want it to be the last step, because then you're going to see all of Kelsey's name embroidered on the back and it not being nice and smooth. So then I want to drag it before we do the step that adds the back on. So I have actually before the confetti too. So here. So here's the satin stitch for there. Then we'll stitch Kelsey's name. We can actually stitch her name anytime as long as it's after the lines on the notebook page, because her name's going to go on top of those blue lines. And then could do it here. So after the red line, we'll do Kelsey's name. It'll do the outline, the decorative stitch if we want to. Then this is the part where we add our confetti. A little at a time. Let's see if I got this right. Only thing that gets confusing is it starts splitting things up. All right, this is when we add our clear vinyl, confetti, add the back on, and do the vinyl, the final stitch. I know all of that was probably really confusing. So I'm going to go back to my camera now and YouTube so that I could actually see comments. So raise your hand if you understood that. I know it's when now, like when I go through it talking with y'all, it's a lot. So try to make it as simple as possible. Open the design and maybe go ahead and add your name to it right away and put it where you want it. And that's going to be before you would add the clear vinyl in the back. Okay. Then you are going to duplicate the step that's usually for the back, which just looks like a simple outline of the whole thing. You want to duplicate that so that you now have a step to add your clear vinyl and you have a step to add your backing. And look, the backing, you don't see any of the embroidery on the front on the back. So you want that to be your last steps is the placement stitch for the back, and then your final satin stitch. That's really important so that you don't see anything on the back of these designs, right? Same with this one. So you want your name, depending on the design itself, you want your name to get stitched before any of the back and the clear vinyl part would happen. Okay, your duplicated step that's for the clear vinyl, that's going to come like your third to last step. So it'll be adding the vinyl, adding the backing, final satin stitch. The one for adding the vinyl, if you create a color stop, depending on the design, like for this one, I think it started stitching here. So what I did was I created a color stop here, and then I added the vinyl and then continued stitching like that. So it all depends on the design. The notebook worked out beautiful because it started stitching here when you look in the stitch simulator. So I let it go and I created a stop here. And so now I have a nice little opening. So just make sure you have the color stop made in a way so that you have an opening to add your glitter. And then the last really important step is that final satin stitch. You want to reduce the density minus 20%. I'm off the side of the camera. Sorry, I don't know. So those are the main takeaways I want you to have in using Embrilliance Essentials. And I know when you probably were looking at my objects panel, it starts to get confusing because at first it's like nice. There's only one number. It's like one design and a drop down and everything's in order. But once you start duplicating things and adding things and dragging them and moving them to a different spot, it separates things. It kind of cuts it up. And so it could look confusing. The best way to check yourself is to go to the stitch simulator and watch it play out and make sure things are actually in the right order. That's going to make sense to where your last 3 steps are your cut up step of adding vinyl. That's going to be separated into 2 steps. Your step for adding the backing and your satin stitches last. So hope that makes sense. Let me check the comments now. All right, Norma understands. Great. Yay, Chris said she bought Embrilliance because she wanted to make these cute bag tags. So if you are newer to Embrilliance, or say you have Embrilliance and you have not mastered using it, or it makes you want to pull your hair I do have a full online course teaching you how to use Embrilliance Essentials. And I go through every single tool, all that stuff in the objects panel, the properties panel, using fonts, even splitting designs, like all of those things, color stops. We go through in detail, step by step, how to do all of that in my course, which is called Embroidery Essentials. I think I have a link for it in the description box, or if you ever have any questions about it, just message me on Facebook or Instagram. Okay. Here we go. Vicky has a good question. When you use HTV glitter, will you iron that down? I do not. What I've seen people do, not for these, because I don't want to iron onto my faux leather. What I've seen people do is they'll just get a regular piece of cotton fabric and iron their HTV onto that, and then use that as their applique piece and trim it after, instead of just using the like the glitter HTV and pulling the carrier on and set it. It may work better for you to actually iron it on a thin piece of fabric and then use that fabric now as the applique. So that's something that you can try. But I typically don't do any ironing with any of these steps because usually all these vinyls are heat sensitive. Dee said cute font. So the font I used for Kelsey was Farmhouse Lemonade. Several places sell that font. And then the one I used in Elise's was, I think, from Designs by Juju. I think it was called Cold Brew, something like that. But y'all saw I have a font problem. What step number is where you add the vinyl? So are you talking about the clear vinyl, Cindy? That is going to be, like we talked about, your third to last step. Clear vinyl, back vinyl, trim everything up, last satin stitch. And we're going to go through it now on the machine so you can see it in person. Designs are at Applique Alley. The link is down below. Okay. Yeah, the cheer one's super cute. Just checking everything. Thank you, Norma. Norma's in my Essentials course. Okay, Linda just tuned in. So there will be a replay after this live is over so that you could go back and watch it again. But yeah, my Essentials course, I think would be super helpful if you have trouble with using Essentials. Oh no, Tamara's lost and confused. I'm so sorry. Okay, and Chris just figured out how to add the name and that's about it. Okay, so maybe going through the actual steps and watching me do it, it'll make more sense what I did in Essentials so that you can translate that back to it. All right, so let's go and start working. All right, so step number 1 is hoop tearaway stabilizer. Okay, and so you just want to make sure that is nice and tight and your hoops are flush. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And then let's go to the machine. And let me move this stuff. All right, so this was my first embroidery machine. I actually had an older model of this one. The newest model now is the PE900. Great machine. This is what I tell everyone to like start off with if you're interested in getting into embroidery. But what your first step would be is to get the design to the machine. Now this machine has a USB port over here, if you can see. And what I do was when I was in Embrilliance, I would go to File, Save, Stitch File As, and then it would open up a folder. I'd name it, put it on my USB stick, and made sure the format matched the machine I'm using. Since I'm using Brother, this likes PES format. And now it's saved to my USB stick. Unplug it from my computer, plug it in my machine, click the little USB button, And now I can see all the designs that are on this particular stick. And I can scroll through them and see and find my notebook. I think I named it. There's Elise. This is Kelsey. All right, I could hit set. All right, and so I see the design. I'm not going to edit it or anything, so I'm going to just hit end edit. I don't need to move it. If you want, you can trace, but if you're using a hoop that came with your machine, you shouldn't have to trace, but we can do it by hitting this. It's like a dashed line with an arrow square. And click that again. And now it's gonna, the needle is gonna move everywhere where the design is, just so I can make sure. But it's good to do because with this particular machine, it doesn't know what size hoop I put on, because with my bigger Brother embroidery machines where the hoops slide on, it knows what size hoop I put on. So it is good to trace if you're using a machine where the hoops size is actually not detected. And now I'm gonna hit embroidery. All right, and the design is listed. It shows me each step. I could see a little preview of that particular step in the corner here and a preview of the overall design here. So I think I'm going to load blue because I think the first actual stitch color we'll see is blue. I always use a thread stand when I am working on these machines that have this horizontal spool holder. I don't like them. Usually my it messes up my tension. Okay, I always have to remember to lower my presser foot before I thread the needle because I have messed up my needle threader several times by not doing that. Okay, so my machine is threaded and I lowered my presser foot. I got a green light. This is going to stitch the placement stitch, showing me where to put my first piece of vinyl. And if you go off of this as the example, cork is actually the first piece, and then I put the white on top of that for my notebook paper. But like for these, there was only one piece. I just put the purple and that was it. And everything else was just stitched on top. There was no additional applique. So it's going to depend on the design. Now, normally you shouldn't have any trouble, but just to place your cutout piece of vinyl right on top of that placement stitch. Try to zoom in here so y'all can see. So there's my placement stitch. See it in blue? This is totally covering it. Nothing, I can't see any thread on the outside of it. So I know that this is going to work well. Now the same step is going to happen again. And because in my designs on the side over here, it's a different color, my machine knows to stop, even though it's the same exact. So that's why I was telling you earlier, when you duplicate the spot to add the clear vinyl, you got to make sure you change it to a different color, because if both steps are the same color, once I send it to my machine, it'll combine it into one step. Okay, so now we are done with tacking down the first layer of vinyl. Now we're going to do our applique piece of vinyl, and the step is going to be a placement stitch showing me where to put my white. Okay, so that is done. Now I'm going to lay my white vinyl and make sure it covers up that little square and stitch that. And normally I don't tape anything. I find everything kind of stays how it should, but you can use a stiletto or a chopstick or something like that to make sure things stay where they're supposed to. Another thing with this machine is it does not cut jump stitches. So you may see me stopping or pausing my machine while it's stitching so that I can get rid of jump stitches. Okay, so right now I just have this little thread tail I want to cut. And then my next step is the actual blue lines. Now I am going to trim this white piece, but I'm going to go ahead and keep stitching, and I'll wait until right before the satin stitch for the white. All right, so I'm going to stitch. So this was my first color that you actually see on the design, which is the blue lines of the note paper. So that's why I loaded blue thread to begin with, because all those other stitches you're not going to see. So this is where we're going to have crazy jump stitches. Well, that's not too bad. See, I don't like that jump stitch. So I'm going to pause my machine and trim this and pull it out the way because I don't want it to get stitched on top of. And then I could trim this one after. I'll trim this one. So the newer version of this machine is the PE900, and it cuts jump stitches. That was the whole reason why I upgraded to a bigger machine after this one. Not only because I wanted a bigger hoop size, but I really wanted to not cut jump stitches anymore. Like that one in the middle, I can cut that after. Okay, sorry, I'm not paying attention to the chat. Okay, now it's doing the little circle. And it should be okay where it jumps, and I'll just trim all those after. All right, so thank you, Brenda and Linda. They're talking about my essentials class, and Mavis asks is how many courses do I offer? I have 2 big courses. One teaches you all the basics of how to use an embroidery machine. That one is called From Start to Stitch. It's like everything I wish someone would have held my hand and taught me when I got my first machine. Like all the basics, stabilizers, tools, how to hoop, the different kind of embroidery designs that are out there, a little intro to embroidery software, because like when I got my machine, I had no idea I had to buy software. How to Applique. I even have one on how to split designs because this machine has a multi-positionable hoop if people have one similar to this. So that's From Start to Stitch. Then I have Embroidery Essentials, which is all about how to use Embrilliance Essentials. All the tools goes through everything of that software. And then I am going to be releasing a new course called Embroidery Enthusiast, and that is going to go over all the features of Embrilliance Enthusiast. Now, I was supposed to release that course next month. Unfortunately, life did not go like I had. Life is wonderful, but I did not get everything done over the summer like I had hoped to. So my essentials course won't be available to enroll in until January now. So give myself a little more time and grace with the holidays to make sure it has everything in there and is clear. So I'm waiting to launch that course and have enrollment open in January. Okay, so y'all saw I just trimmed all the jump stitches from the blue notebook paper just so that they're not underneath other stitches that we're about to do. Now my next, let me back up a little. Oh, is it focusing? Yeah, there we go. Now I'm going to change threads to a pink color. And that's going to be the line on the side. So I'm gonna load my pink thread. So with any bag tag that you're doing, even if you're not doing this design, you're basically going to run through the process of all the parts of that particular design. Thread is caught on something. Hold on. There we go. I'm trying not to get in the way of the camera. All right, lower presser foot, thread needle. Okay, now my red line. So you're going to go through all the steps. So like for the cheer one, I did step 1 was placement, step 2 was tack down. Then it did the little handle for the megaphone, and it did this cute little outline stitch. Then I did Ellie's name. Then it was ready for the clear vinyl, then the backing, then the last satin stitch. So everything we're showing today, you know, can be applied to any bag tag. I'm just going through the steps of this particular design, which is the note paper, and then I add the name. So now we're ready for the name. I'm going to do the name in purple. Purple. My thread is messed up a little bit. There we go. Okay, lower the presser foot and go. All right, and it's gonna stitch Kelsey's name, and it will have little jump stitches between each letter. I'll pause because I see his tail. Ugh. And I don't want that to get all crazy and stitched on top of. Ah, I lost my tweezers, and it's really hard for me to do my stuff without them. Those are not my tweezers that I love. Okay, sorry. I don't like when tails poke up after, because more than likely they're going to get stuck under something and then like maybe be in a way where it's hard to trim after, but it's going to bother me. But there will be jump stitches in between Kelsey's name, and I'm going to have to trim those later. See, I forgot to do these with Morgan's name, and they have little jump stitches between the letters. So we got to remember to trim it before we add the clear vinyl. Okay, going back to the chat. Sorry, trying to pay attention. So June asks is that about the courses again, is the member thing. So no, they're a one-time purchase. You get lifetime access. You can watch the lessons on any device with internet access. So like for the Essentials course, for instance, I tell people, like, if you have a tablet or even your phone, have that like on your desk, and then have your computer opened with the software and follow along in the software as you watch the lessons. But it's a one-time fee and you get lifetime access. Hey, Miss Joy. Your princess is good. I tried to get her to wear her crown to school, but she's like, everyone's going to be jealous, so she did not wear her crown. Chris has a PE800 too. Ooh, okay. So this is a great question. All right, and this is just going to be playing in Essentials. Now, Emily has all these really cute appliques. What if we want to turn one of those appliques into a bag tag? You can do that. And basically, what you need to do is add a step, which is usually the placement stitch, to be the second to last step so that you can add a back to it. And if it's a applique that has a satin stitch, then that's perfect, because then it'll have the same kind of effect as all of these. But the question is, how do we add the eyelet and the outline stitch? So the outline stitch is going to be the same as your placement stitch. Let me find just anything that is an applique. Here we go. Here's a bunny. I think I made this bunny, but here's an applique bunny. I could turn this into a bag tag. And all I would need to do is take that first outline stitch telling me where to put my fabric, copy it, paste it, make it the second to last step. Then what I would do is I would open up a bag tag I already have, click on the eyelet, just the eyelet, copy it, go to this design and paste it, and make that one of the last step. So does that make sense? Let me know, because that is something you could definitely do. All right, Kelsey is done stitching, but we have a few jump stitches there. I'm going to trim real quick, and I can come do it over here so y'all can see. Nope, yep, that one. Yeah, I'm spoiled now because I use, I have a Brother Stellaire, and it's like a Cadillac. I love it, but I'm spoiled with not cutting jump stitches using that one. But it's been a long time since we did a sip and stitch project with the PE800, so I wanted to make sure y'all saw it on there. So with my, if you're new to my sip and stitch, I have several embroidery machines. I have flatbed machines and big flatbed machines. I have free arm machines, multi-needle machine. So every time I do a lesson, a tutorial, I try to change the machine I'm doing it on so you can see different examples. And like, but almost everything I make, you can make on any machine. So like this project can be made on a multi-needle machine. It could, any flatbed machine, like, doesn't matter. And because it has a 4x4 option, literally any embroidery machine. Okay, now that I trimmed Kelsey, I believe the next step is a satin stitch going around this white, but I need to trim it first. So this we're treating just like any applique. And so we want to trim this. So that when it does a satin stitch around it, it covers the edge, and now you can see the bits of the cork are going to poke out behind it. Okay. All right. And I'm going to put my white thread on. Come here, thread. Here we go. Ah, there we go. Lower presser foot, thread needle. Okay, and now I can hit start. This is going to be that satin stitch around. All right, so this is technically the last step before we're going to start doing the vinyl. There is, remember I showed you that like bean stitch that goes through the satin? I'm skipping that step on the note page. So if you're following along with me and you want to stitch that step, go ahead. I'm gonna skip it, and you can skip it for any of those satin stitches that have a bean stitch. Okay, let's see. All right, I think I answered this already, but the course, you have lifetime access, so you can watch it anytime you want. You know, years down the road, you want to go back and refer. refresh your memory on things, you have access to it. So Mavis, this is a good question. And this is something I always tell people. She has Enthusiast and Stitch Artist, which is digitizing software. I still always recommend people to have Essentials because there are things that Enthusiast does not come with. And now for Stitch Artists, it's not that important because you won't need this feature for digitizing. But if you are opening designs like this bag tag or anything, any appliques, any of those, Enthusiast does not come with the capability of resizing. Only Essentials comes with that. Also, removing hidden stitches is an Essentials feature. So those two things are covered in the Essentials course but everything else that's covered in the Essentials course, you can do with Enthusiast, I think. So it would still be helpful for you if you don't have Essentials, but I do always recommend people having it, but that's going to depend on what you're doing. But we won't cover features specific to Enthusiast, and we won't cover features specific to Stitch Artist in the Essentials course. Those are going to come later in their own courses. Okay. Savannah has a good question. If she only has Essentials, does she have to have Enthusiast to make a design for a 5x12 repositionable hoop? No, you do not. You only need Essentials for that. And I have a whole lesson on that in both my From Start to Stitch course and my Essentials course. And I think I have a video on YouTube as well that you can watch for free on using that hoop. Oh, thank you, Sherry. I appreciate you. She's waiting for the next one. It's coming. I was trying to bust my butt to get it ready for September, and then I finally was like, I have to wait till January because we want to do all these sew-alongs. I have the holiday workshop coming up. So many things going on in the fall and the holiday season. So I want to make sure I give it all the attention it needs and make it right. Okay, so Layla, this is back to making the applique into a bag tag. You create the outline of the bunny. So the bunny already has, like this is an applique, right? There's already going to be a running stitch placement stitch. That's the one you have to duplicate. It already has the satin stitch. So there's nothing you need to do but duplicate that first placement stitch and make it second to last. So you still have your first placement stitch, stitch all the things. Now go back and re-stitch that first placement stitch, and that's going to add your back. And then stitch your this same old satin stitch. Nothing's changing about the satin stitch. And then copy and paste the little eyelet, the little satin circle from another bag tag design and put it right there. And that can be your last step. So that's all you need to do. You're not actually creating any new stitches or changing a stitch from a running stitch to a satin stitch. Those kinds of things you can't do with Essentials. All you're doing is copying and pasting things you already have. Can the applique have to be vinyl or can it be fabric? So the applique on this tag, the note page, no, that could have been fabric. You can use anything for that bit. I definitely want to have vinyl for what's going to be the outer edge, but I have made, let's see if I can find it, and I have a video on it. I've made bag tags out of fabric. I have to go look for it, but here's an example. This is almost like a bag tag. So this is a shamrock, kind of the same concept. It's done all in the hoop. This is all fabric. So you can definitely do it with fabric as well. And because it has this nice satin stitch, it's going to cover the raw edge. I just find the vinyl's more sturdy, but you can add interfacing, you can add foam in here. There's lots of things that you can do. It doesn't necessarily have to be vinyl. Okay. Next. Oh, Dorothy likes my watch band. Thank you. Yeah, it's got little sewing machine and scissors and iron and all kinds of stuff on it. I got it off Etsy. Alrighty then, what's next? Okay, now we're ready to add our vinyl. So with all that confusing stuff I went over in Essentials, this step is going to be the one we duplicated, which is the same as the first step of our placement and tack down of this cork piece, and is also the same as the last step where we'll add the backing. They're all the same exact stitch out. That is what we're doing now, and that is the one that I actually broke up into 2 steps so that it makes adding the confetti easier. Now, there's my clear vinyl. A recent tip I saw in the Applique Alley Facebook group is to take a dryer sheet and rub that on your vinyl before adding it. I'm gonna rub it on here too. This is gonna reduce static in your confetti sticking. See how some of these confettis here are sticking to the vinyl? I didn't do it with this one. So especially those little hexagon ones. Those little hexagon ones like to stick. So now I'm adding my clear vinyl. I know right where to add it because it's on top of the outline stitch. I can already see. And if I'm worried, I can hold it in place, but we're not adding the confetti yet because we're going to stitch it part way. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the white thread on because it doesn't matter what color I do this step for. Okay. See something. Oops. Ooh, I just made it. This one's actually going to be a little more poofy because I wasn't paying attention and my vinyl went right on that edge here. It's clear. It's tricky to see, but it's still all caught in the stitches, so it's not going to come undone. No, it should be good. And then the satin stitch on top will really tack it down. So I have my vinyl, and you see the top is still open. So now let's go add some confetti. Okay, let's move all this. Yes, Lauren has a great tip for if you're doing fabric bag tags and things, adding pieces of cutaway. That's what I did in the old sip and stitch I did. We made a bunny bag tag for Easter. I put a piece of cutaway on it to make it like more stiff. Okay, I have a little piece of paper and fold it in half. And then I'm going to add the confettis. Let me see. I want to make it like Elise's. So I added this blue hexagon one. That's the one that likes to stick. So we're going to see how much that dryer sheet helped. And I'm a very poor judge of how much of this stuff to add. So I tend to go overboard. I think that's the only ones I added. Oh wait, no, I did the flowers too. Maybe the stars. Yeah, I did the stars. I could see them. So that's probably too much. But I have some room in this one for the bottom because I did her name closer to the top. So like technically all this can be filled with confetti and it won't block her name. And now I'm going to add some of my clay pieces. Let's do a little pinch. I think that's good. All right, we'll see how this looks. And the good news is if it looks too much, I could pour it out and try again. So I'm just going to stick my paper in here and shake it. And there goes all my glitter. All right, there you see? And I can hit my hoop down and you see it's getting to where it's going to be covering her name. So maybe I'll take a little bit out. Where are my tweezers? There we go. because they're little. Okay, and I had like a paintbrush or something somewhere. Here we go. So when Nicole does it, that's the one crafty mama that has the TikTok channel. She just pours her confetti in the middle. Just kind of dabs it. How I was dabbing it on my paper, that's she dabs it right here. And then she uses a paintbrush to kind of move it all and make sure it's inside of the spot where you're going to add the vinyl. And then she puts the vinyl on top and then uses her end of her paintbrush to kind of hold it while it goes and stitches around. And the first time I did it, I did not do it right because the confetti went everywhere. So that's why I thought this might be a little easier. So now let me do this. Tape. Get all that confetti off of there. Almost. Okay, got all that extra confetti. And we're going to need this tape again. So y'all see, I have my confetti in there, but this is still not stitched. But I'm ready now, so I'm going to bring it to the machine and it's going to go and finish that last step. Here. Okay. And when I did it on my other practice runs on my bag tags, I did not have to hold this. It's still like, it stayed where it was supposed to. But I am a little worried about a wrinkle in the vinyl. So I'm going to do this because it wasn't lying super flat when it stitched this part. See, like none of this moved when I was stitching that. So now the confetti is in there and it's good and closed. So the next step is adding the back. So remember our last 3 steps. I guess the first of the last 3 steps, add the vinyl with the confetti, then add the back. Then we'll trim everything and do the final satin stitch. Okay, so see my confetti is all in there now, all locked in and can't come out the top. And we have the back. So we're hiding all of this by adding the back. You know, we're not going to see any of this. And we can, all these little, whatchamacalls, threads, those we'll end up trimming those. So it's okay if they're going out. But basically we want to get the same I use for the front, cover up the back. And I'm going to use tape. Well, actually I had some already cut here. I reuse them. I stick them on the side of my craft table and reuse them. So very careful when you're adding, if you're working with a hoop like this, don't put too much pressure adding the tape. Just kind of lay it there, then turn it over and rub it in because you don't want to put too much pressure and pop your stabilizer out your hoop. Okay. So now it's going to do that same, this is the stitch that we duplicated to make our vinyl confetti stitch. And this is going to add the back on. So again, I'm just staying with the white thread because you're not going to see any of these stitches. So it doesn't matter what color you do it in. Okie dokie. So now the back is attached. Alrighty then. Let me go to the thing. Okay. All right, so now we have added the back. I can take these pieces of tape, and this is where I stick them to my craft table and use them for my next project until they're not sticky enough anymore. And now we are going to trim and get the look of the final on both the front and the back. So this is, again, kind of treating it like an applique. And I start with the clear vinyl, and you're just cutting as close to that stitch line as you can. Because remember, you want your satin stitch to cover it all the way around the edge. So you do need to trim close. I had a trick for making the satin stitch wider. I forgot to show you, but I'm definitely going to include it in my enthusiast course, because if you have enthusiast, there's a feature where you can increase the width or the compensation of a satin stitch. And so I played with that, and it helped me with, in case I didn't cut it close enough to the edge, it made my satin stitch a little thicker, wider, so it covered it up. All right, so I did the clear. Now we're going to do the cork. And just watch you're not pulling it out of the stabilizer, like, you know, tugging your thing to where it starts tearing, because this is tear away. See, the cork is a little harder to get super close to the stitch line. So this is different than other in the hoop projects like this one, where we actually trim it when it's all said and done. Like this was trimmed last, got it out of the hoop and everything. But this has the raw edge, doesn't have a satin stitch going around it. Because this one has the satin stitch going around it, we treat it more like an applique, and we trim everything up before that last stitch. And now we also have to trim the back. And again, be careful with pulling and tugging. So there's one of those threads that was on the back and poking out. Okay, that's all trimmed. Still got some crazy threads I want to get out because I don't want them to get caught up in my satin. Okay, and now I'm going to do something that's going to make me a little bit extra. So the easiest thing to do is do your outline in a white stitch. So then you have the white bobbin. It all looks clean and good. I'm going to be extra and do my outline in pink. So I actually wound a bobbin. Where is it? Left it over here. With my same top thread that I'm using. So I just used the bobbin winder on my machine and wound a bobbin with the pink thread, and I'm going to put that in. So now the back and the front match. So if you want to be extra, you can do that. And then I'm going to also show you my other bit of extraness, where within the hoop projects on that last stitch, it really bothers me when they have like a nest of threads. Or it's like where you first start stitching, it makes a little nest. And I'll find an example to show you, but I have a way to prevent that from happening. Okay, I think we did everything. Everything's trimmed. Good to go. Step is the last satin stitch. I got my pink bobbin loaded, but I still need to load my pink top thread. Okay, lower, press. Okay, now I'll find an example for you, but a lot of times within the hoop projects, the first few stitches forms a nest on the back. That bothers me. So to prevent that from happening, I hold my top thread, lower my needle, and raise it. And I pull my bobbin thread up. There it is. Come up. Come here. Okay, there we go. So I got my bobbin thread and my top thread. I actually have to make it go through the presser foot. There we go. Okay, so I hold both of those out of the way. Now lower my presser foot and go, and that prevents that nest from forming on the back. And then I'll pause and trim that long tail I just made because of that. Okay, now we got the final stitch. I'm going to look for something that has the big nest on the back so you can see what I'm talking about. This one I trimmed it. So I don't know if you could see. You might be able to see there. This was a big wad of thread, and I trimmed it as best I could. But that's stupid little things like that bother me. So that's why I do the pull the bobbin thread up. So, all right, let me check the comments. Judy, I am right-handed, but having kids makes me ambidextrous, I think. All right. So Becky's noticing like where my thread stand is. As long as the thread, let me back up. You're gonna see my whole messy bit here. As I usually have it here, like on the side, as long as it is feeding into here without like getting caught up on something. Like if it's in the back, because I have this lift thing, I have to make sure the top of my pole is higher than this, so it's not rubbing on it getting into there. So as long as it has a clear path of going from the top of my thread stand into the thread path, which is here, it can be anywhere. It could be in front. I usually have it on the side, so it's like here and going. But because of my space and my camera setup, I'm a little bit limited. But yeah, you can have it as long as it has a clear path in. Yay. Okay. I'm glad you like that tip, Joanna. So she used it with sewing, but didn't think about it for embroidery. Yeah. So it's only really noticeable when you're doing those in the hoop projects that I can see them. All right. While that is stitching, let's talk about the ribbon. So I have, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of ribbon. Each of them is 14 inches long. I've seen Nicole, who I learned this from on TikTok, use up to 20-inch long pieces. I think this is all going to be a personal preference and is going to depend on what size. Whoop, something's wrong. Don't mess up, please. Okay, I'm going to cut. Oh, my needle, like way down in there. There's my needle. Oh, I hope I can pull this out. Not like my needle broke. It's like it fell out and it's in there. And of course, my Abigail took my pliers and they're downstairs. Let me see if I can. I got another thing of pliers, but they don't. They're made for jewelry. They don't have a good grip on them. I hope I could save this. Of course, it's always the last step. Something goes wrong. There we go. Yeah, it broke and it went all the way down in there. So let's raise And I probably have to cut here and cut here. So hopefully we could still save this. Yeah, it still looks savable. But I got to find the rest of that needle. That's not going to be fun. I think it's not on my hoop. I don't know where else it could have gone but down in there. So yeah, I think I had to take my thread plate off and everything. Let's see. So this is the needle plate. I would take that off. And I can remove the bobbin and the bobbin case. Let me see. That helps me find the needle. All right, I don't see no needle pieces there. And I'm going to use a tweezer. That's just thread. I think I see something that might be the needle. Yeah, that might be it. Okay, let me get my screwdriver. Oh, we're going to learn all kinds of stuff today. Never fails. This is why I say you get to see all the nitty gritty in between, because something always goes wrong. Now, I should probably have my machine off while I'm doing this, just as a disclaimer. Good news is, if I did turn my machine off, when I loaded the design, I was talking with someone about this. When I loaded the design, I didn't change anything. Like I didn't move the design anywhere in my hoop. So technically I can turn my machine off and just reopen the design and fast forward to the part where it stops stitching, and it will be like in the right spot. However, that is not good, not able to do. I need a different screwdriver. When you move your design any kind of way, it's really hard to get it right back where you had it. Can't get this thing to stay where I want it. I have a different little thumb screwdriver thing that my multi-needle might work better. Nope, can't find it. Oh well. Ugh, I'm not having good luck. My little screwdriver tool, like it's supposed to stay like this, where it's easy to use, but it keeps moving. And sometimes you can finish it with your fingers. Okay, got both screws out. Carefully lift this up, and I see the broken needle. So you see that little, that's what broken was in there and was like all in the way. But I'm gonna look at the two pieces and make sure that's all of it. What did I do with the other broken bit? Here it is. Okay. And make sure there's not another piece in there. It looks a little short. Let me get a needle. I still got some needles that came with machines, so let me use that. Yeah, there's definitely another piece somewhere. This is a lot longer. There's my new needle. And I have, where is my pipe cleaner. Pipe cleaner is a great tool. Also, you can use a really strong magnet to try and get, you don't really want to start your machine if they have a piece of a broken needle in it, because it can cause you more trouble. So, and of course I can't find anything. Found my pipe cleaners. There's step one. And I have these super strong magnets. Actually, I used them as hooks on the side of one of my multi-needle machines. But then I brought them on the cruise with me this summer, because that was something I read about. Like, a lot of the walls and the doors in the cruise ship are metal. So people would bring those super strong magnet hooks with them on the cruise ship and like hang stuff, since you're like very limited on space. So I could not tell you where those hooks are right now. All right, in the meantime, I'm gonna do this and see if I can see anything else down in here. See, just like thread. Sorry, y'all didn't sign up for all this, but this is what happens when I do live videos. Not all the time, but it happens. All right, there's a very good chance that could have fell like way down here, and I'm not even gonna find it. But the main thing is I don't see it in my bobbin case, because that's where it would really cause me trouble. So I think I am safe to put everything back together. So here's a lesson. We can let's put the needle plate first. Actually, no, let's do this. All right, bobbin case. Depending on what machine you have, do you see this little white mark here? There's a white mark here. You really want to make sure that those are lined up like it should be, because if your bobbin case is not in just right, it will cause you trouble. Okay, do I have this? Nope. That's not right. It's been so long since I messed with this needle plate. I always take the plastic bit off to clean, but I never take the metal. Something really goes bad when you take the metal bit off. There we go. Make sure that's in there, right? And try to use your fingers as much as you can to screw that in. Of course, that one's not happy. Quarter would probably be easier, or a penny or something. Okay, that's tight. That's tight. Okay. Whew. It's making me sweat. All right. Make sure bobbin case is good. Now this is just going to snap in. Re-put my bobbin. We have the pink one in. Okay. And last but not least, we have to change the needle. And I have a tool for that that makes life easier. It came with my multi-needle machine, but it like holds your needle. Sorry, I'm gonna block the camera because I gotta see. And these needles have a flat back, so I gotta make sure it is with the back going, the flat going to the back. Okay, and then last tip for adding a new needle is, it's hard to see on camera, but I did show all this in my course on how to use an embroidery machine. We go over like all these kind of things. There is a tiny little piece that you like a piece coming out this way. Wait, can you see my finger? This way. And you're putting your needle up and you see that your top of your needle should hit that metal little piece you see there. And that's how you know you got your needle in all the way. And then you tighten this little screw here to really make sure it's tight and not going to fall out. There we go. Okay. Good Lord. Thank you if you stuck around for all of that, because that was traumatizing. Jeez. Okay. Let's get back to work. Got my thread. Lower. Okay. Know my needle's in good because it's threaded. Right? Okay. We're going to put this guy back in. Now, more than likely, you don't want to just start where you left off because you may have missed some stitches or something may be off. And also you want to kind of lock in your stitches because there's a chance that it could come unraveled. So what I do is I go to the plus minus button on my machine and I back up about 20 or 30 stitches. So I did minus 10. I hit it 3 times and I'm gonna hit OK. Now I'm gonna lower my presser foot and I'm gonna watch it and make sure everything looks good. Okay. All right, I'm going to look at the comments now because I'm sure y'all are probably telling me all kinds of stuff. Okay. One and done, including all. Let's see. All right, I see Junebug was talking about needles. So that was a 7511 needle that I used. And that's what I just replaced it with. Now, the next step is the eyelet. And I'm going to take this off because there is confetti right where my eyelet is going to go. So I'm going to try to, there we go, shake them down so they out of the way. So now the eyelet's going to stitch there. I'm going to keep that in pink. So I just lower and stitch. Oh, I forgot to do my pull the bobbin thread up. So you may see a little nest on the back of that one. Okay. Yeah, so Jenny said a quarter will help in a pinch. see. Vicky's like, I'm just glad it's not me. It's not just me. No, it's never just you. Trust me. It seemed like every time I turned on my machine, something would go wrong. Never, ever, ever failed. Drove me crazy. Okay, I'm just checking this out. All right. So this is me and my little pet peeve. I don't know if you could see it, but there's like a little nest. It's not focusing good. A little nest of threads. That's because I didn't pull the bobbin thread up. I didn't do it here, but I didn't do the start stop. It's only when you're starting that it kind of goes back and forth in the same spot over and over again. So I didn't do it here when I restarted where the needle broke. But yep. Okay. Last step is the white outline stitch. And actually when I did Elise's, I didn't change the bobbin back. So on the back, it's all still pink. And on the front, it's got that white. So I'm going to do that again with Kelsey's. And so I'm just going to change the top thread white. And that is our last stitch. Thank goodness. I don't remember pulling my pink thread out, but I must have. I don't see it. Okay. Lower. Nope. I need to thread the needle. Stop. Okay. I always do that. I start stitching and the thread ain't even in the needle. Let's try that again. Under the needle bar, through the path, thread the needle. There we go. And I think it only stitched once, so I'll just go. Oh, let's do the little nesting thing. Prevent the nesting. Okay, top thread, lower needle, bobbin thread, pink. There we go. And I have to put this through the presser foot or I'll get all tangled. There we go. Lower stitch. And it's going to stitch the little, it's getting stuck because it's so much it's going through. It's going through 3 layers of vinyl and that thick satin stitch. So I'm just going to hold my finger here. Let me trim this. Oh, I'm not trying to hold it out the way. Okay. I'm just going to hold my finger here just to keep the hoop from getting pulled up. Okay. All right. We are done. Yay. Now at least any problems we have won't be the embroidery machine's fault. It'll just be my fault. All right. So there is our bag tag in the tearaway stabilizer. So let's go to the craft table now and start talking about how to make it all pretty in the little keychain. Is my pipe cleaners. Elise always, I had them like a craft kit just for like to make stuff with the kids. And so she would twist them and make bracelets with them. And so that's all I can find now is the ones she made bracelets with. And that's what I used to clean my machines with. Okay. So cool thing about this is we can just pop it right out like that. Previously, I had trouble with doing in the hoop projects like this in tearaway because I found I saw a lot of like little fibers of tearaway in the satin stitch, but maybe that was a different brand I was using because it was a long time ago. And this is a So Perfect brand, and I don't see any out, but we're going to do another trick to clean up all the sides here. And you can see, I don't know if you can, but you see the cork here. That's because the satin, I didn't trim it close enough. So we're going to try and trim that up. And also we're going to burn it with a lighter. Be careful, fire. And we're gonna clean this up a bit. So let's see. First, I'm gonna trim these stray threads. And yeah, most of those they will singe with the lighter, but I don't want to singe them that much. And normally I would never do stuff like this because I'm like, I might cut my satin stitches on accident, but we're going to singe everything, so it should be fine. Also, with this bag tag, I was not thinking correctly, and I trimmed just the top, and I totally forgot to trim the back. And so I did the satin stitch, and the back was all still there. So I just cut it as close as I could to the satin stitch. Like you can see, it's poking out still in one little spot there. I actually trimmed this after the satin stitch, and it still came out decent. But normally I don't put my scissors anywhere near the stitch like that because I don't want things to come undone. There's a little jump white stitch right here from going from the inner circle bean to the outer. I just don't want to cut. There we go. Something's wrong with my scissors. Okay. All right, so we are all done with the actual bag tag. Now is making all the really pretty part. Now I've seen some people just use their scissors. Something's wrong. Oh, I see it. The needle is stuck. The little piece of needle from earlier. My scissors aren't like closing all the way because the little piece of needle is in there. Let me get that in my trash can so I don't mess it up. Okay, I've seen people take their scissors and poke a hole through there. You can do that. I have a hole punching contraption, so I'm going to use it. I use this I saw Emily starting to make snap tabs. I highly advise investing in a cam snap press. If you're going to be making a lot of snap tabs, they're wonderful. And they don't just do snaps. So they have hole punching gadgets. They have eyelet pressing gadgets. They have rivet pressing stuff, key fob pressing stuff. So all of that. And so now I have a nice little, this piece didn't get out like it was supposed to. Now I have a nice little hole cut in there. But cam snaps. I can't remember if I put that information on the Sip and Stitch homepage. I'll try to remember to go do it after. All right, then you can very, very carefully just run the lighter along the edge to clean up any of that mess. And that is good. And now let's talk about ribbons. So before my needle broke, I had told you 8 pieces of ribbon. And clear a mess here. And we need a luggage tag. So I think the last time I did it, I looped it through after, but you can open this like that. And you want to start with your widest ribbon at the bottom. Sorry, I'm not paying attention to the chat too. Let me look. I'll go back and look at this after. But if you had a question that I didn't answer, write it again for me so I could see it. All right, I have 8 pieces of ribbon, not including the one that is going to end up being the little bow at the top. So this is all 8. And I start with the widest at the bottom and then work my way to skinniest. And you put them kind of cross shaped. So I'm gonna do one here, here, and then just put them on top. Here, 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 and here. So these are all 14 inches long. This is, again, you can play with this number depending on the size tag you're making. The bigger the tag, you may want to make the ribbon a little longer. I ended up doing the same 14 inches for this one, and I still think it looks good. But again, you can play with that. You could add more ribbon. You could have less ribbon. I've also seen where none of this long stuff is happening. They just have little pieces of ribbon poking out here and here. Or you can have no ribbon at all. It's all up to you. You could just put a keychain through this and be done with it. But this is happening here. And then did I cut my little skinny purple piece? I probably lost it in all my mess on my table. So I'll just cut another one. So this is my little skinny one that I'm going to actually tie the tag on with. And that one I'm going to put right in the middle, like this. And then if you want, you can put this back together. This is like a screw piece here. Okay, this one's still in the middle. And then to help you keep all these together, I'm using a little tie wrap. Cable tie, tie strap, tie wrap. I don't know how you call them. The little skinny one of these. And I will hold it on my fingers like this, lift it and pinch it like this. Okay. Now that that has happened, just kind of pinch them together, and then we're going to use the tie wrap to hold them all together. So I'm just moving that to the tops, going around it, and I just pull on this as much as I can. So now it's kind of tie wrapped to it and it stays, and you just cut this bit off like that. Okay, and now you want to find that last little skinny ribbon you put on top, there and there. And this is the one that you are going to attach to your keychain, the bag tag to it, you know. I did it with my scissors and it ended up just making a hole in my ribbon. So I'm trying not to do it with something so pointy. There we go. So, and then pull that through here. All right, so now we have this, and it's kind of covering up that piece of the tie wrap that we trimmed. That's going to be behind the bag tag where you're not going to see it. And just tie this in a knot. And I am not an expert at making bows, so I'm just tying this like I tie my shoes. There. Like that. And then I just kind of twist it and pull it and make it to where it looks decent. And then like trying to make it tight. There we go. And like this one's a bit longer, so I could trim this. I want it to match. Something like that. So now Kelsey has her matching school bag tag. And there, all the ribbon. And with the luggage tags, she can put this through anything on her bag. So that is all, folks. Whew, that was long. Okay, oops, here we go. I am going to look at the chat now. So, all right, I'm looking at questions. Susan, what is the loops called? So these are metal luggage loops. I bought them off of Amazon and they came in like a rainbow pack, one in each color. You could also just use a regular old keychain little circle and open it and put it through there as well. So you don't have to use these, but I think they're super cute. Super cute. Okay. So yeah, Norma likes it. She's going to make the bigger one. So yeah, that's the great thing about them. They come in as small as 3 inches and as big as 7 inches. So you can make whatever size you want. Yay, right, like so cute. So when I saw the picture of this on the Applique Alley website, I'm like, I need this in my life. This was the cutest thing ever. And I loved the example picture. It was so cute. Thank you, Sherry. I am a trooper. I'm gonna get it done. Like, I'm gonna figure it out. We ain't giving up. We're gonna get it done. Even if it takes 2 hours, we're gonna get it done. Yay. So Judy says she just got the clay bits from Amazon. The most important thing is you didn't swear and I didn't throw my hoop across the room. I love that. Nope. I was good. It is Friday though. So if you are just found out about Sip and Stitch and stuff and haven't, we started this like 5 years ago, guys. That's crazy. It's been 5 years. We started Sip and Stitch 5 years ago, and I was still working full time during the day, and I would come home on Friday night and we would do it Friday night in my craft room. And I had an alcoholic beverage because it was a long week. I just wanted to unwind and relax and make something pretty, and then something would break on the machine, and then good thing you hit the thing. So it is Friday. It's still morning time or lunch now, but this evening my friend Sheena's coming over and we're having margaritas. All right. Let's see. I'm just checking the other things. Becky says Amazon has a 1/4-inch drive ratchet with short bits that's great for machines. It's a Craftsman and works great with the bed screws. Ooh, I'm going to go look that up, Becky. Thank you so much. All right, totally off a subject, but I absolutely love the ring on my ring. Oh, thank you, thank you. I love this ring too. Okay, I think I caught everything. So will I be adding the links to the items to create the bag tag? Yes. So that is all on my website, carlybell.com. I'll show you one more time. So there it is in the description below. A lot of stuff's in the description below. But if you just, let me go to the beginning. So carlybell.com, this is my website. And you could really just click right here, Sip and Stitch. And this is going to bring you to what I call the Sip and Stitch homepage. This is what I update every time I have a new Sip and Stitch. So because this is the newest one, it's at the top. And this is links to all the supplies that we use, down to the metal luggage loop, the little clay confetti pieces, everything. And then here I have info on my From Start to Stitch course, info on my Embroidery Essentials. I got to tell you about my membership project. We have a monthly VIP membership group called the Sip and Stitch Squad. Facebook group. These are the links to watch it. So and then this is May. That was that luggage tag. So if you just keep scrolling, you see the older ones. However, what I've been trying to be better about is when you click here and you go to past projects, now you can see all the past ones. Ooh, I haven't done the luggage tag. I need to do that. So this was April's. This was March. This was February. So you can see all the past. That was that shamrock I showed y'all. These are all the past Sip and Stitch projects. and then you can click on them and you'll have the video replay you could watch, all the supplies, and then I break it down like step-by-step written instructions with pictures. So that's probably going to be helpful for those of y'all that got lost with the Embrilliance portion. So like we did a lot of Embrilliance work on this project with splitting a design up. So I'll do all of that for y'all after today's video so y'all can see everything kind of step by step. Okay, I got to tell you something I'm very excited about. Okay, I think this is like, you know how when you make something and you're like super proud of it and you're like, this is the prettiest thing I ever made? I made something. All right, so VIP membership group, we have a Zoom class every month for members. It's really interactive. It's nice because I'm not just talking to myself. People can talk to me. And I give a free embroidery design every month. And usually the class is using that embroidery design and we make something. We've done all kind of stuff. We've been doing this for over 4 years now. And the replay is always available if you can't make it to the Zoom call. And so when you're a member, you get access to like all 4 years of past classes and embroidery designs and all that stuff. So this month, August, and next month, September, we're doing a 2-part project, which we've done in the past before for like bigger things. And we are going to be quilting fabric with our embroidery machine with a quilting design that I made. I'm pretty proud of it. It's hard to see on my project, so I'm going to show you the printout, but it's bows. Can you see that? So they're little bows with the line. And so it's supposed to look like edge to edge quilting or background quilting. I see now why Kimberbell charges so much for these because they're a little bit tedious to make. So that's the free design for the month. And we're going to be quilting fabric. And then for our September class, we're going to take that fabric and sew it into a boxed zippered bag. And so we'll use the embroidery machine for that part. We're going to use our sewing machine. And so I made it and it came out so cute. So I didn't make this. This is a monogram from Alphalicious and it's a 3D puff monogram. So I don't know if you could tell how it like pokes out. You put foam in it. So, but the fabric has the little bow and I did 2 hoopings and you can't tell where the hoopings were. So I did it with a 5x7 hoop and did 2 hoopings of the background quilting. And I did 2 panels. So I had 1 panel for the front and 1 panel for the back. So 4 hoopings of quilting. And once I had my quilted piece, I embroidered my monogram on it. And then I took those 2 pieces and I made this bag. Where's the zipper? There it is. Look how pretty it is. I'm obsessed with this fabric. I got this fabric at the Applique getaway from Glitterbug Fairy, and it's like a wipeable vinyl fabric. It's a great fabric for like a makeup bag or pencil pouch or even food because it's wipeable and like very easy to clean and won't stain. But I'm obsessed with it. I love it. So I made that the lining of my bag and my little tabs. So we're going to go over how to actually sew the bag together for the September class. Yeah, so Lady Bear, I'm having a brain fart. What's your real name? I know it's not Susan. It's I know it, but I can't think of it. Tell me. But yeah, you got Stacy LeBlanc, I think. Yeah. Thank you. You got some of this fabric too from Glitterbug Fairy. I love it. I'm gonna order some more because I only got this pattern. I think I'll get some basic ones too. That'll be great for liners and bags. So I made this yesterday. I was so excited. I went and showed my girls, but no one was as excited about it as I was. Elise actually liked it, and she's like, "That's not my name." And I'm like, "No, it's my name. This is my bag." And she's like, "Why didn't make one with my name?" So I told her I'd make her one. But I think like this will be super pretty for like my mom and my sister for their birthdays. Super nice. This is also super cute for like girls going to college and stuff. Nice little bag for their toiletries for the dorm room, traveling, all those kinds of things. A bear. So yay. Okay. That's Renee. So you're as excited as I am. So I was super proud of this yesterday when I made it. I'm like, I love it. So stinking cute. Anyway, VIP class. Our August class is going to be next Tuesday, the 26th. I don't have any. There we go, 26. And then normally our VIP classes are like the last Tuesday of every month, but because I know y'all are not going to be able, they're all going to be excited to make this, we're going to do our September class early. So we're going to do it on September 9th. So it's not the first Tuesday of the month, but the second. So 2 weeks later, we'll do the actual construction bit. And if you are not a member of the VIP membership group and you want to join, there should be a link down below. And then on that Sip and Stitch page I was showing you earlier, it's only $9 a month. And you get a class with me every month, an embroidery design every month, and then you get access to the library of all the older stuff. And we do all kinds of fun stuff in there. So come see us Tuesday. All right. Yay. Norma's ready to make it. All right. Hey, Miss Joy. Becky X, is it okay for me to put the Amazon link for the small ratchet in the Facebook group? Yes, please. Put it in there. Glitterbug Fairy has so many cute wipeable fabrics. Yes, yes. All right. Whew, I'm out of breath. I've been talking a lot. But thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed my very, very, very long lesson on how to make in the hoop confetti shaker bag tags. I will have a written part on the website, hopefully by the end of next week, so that you can see step by step how to make this. But what I'm hoping you pull away from it is how you can take any bag tag design you own and turn it into a shaker bag tag. And that's it. So that's what I'm hoping you pull away from it. And then, you know, make it as cute as you want with all the things. But all right, I'm looking at everything. Oh, the ribbon. I cut 14 inches, but I've seen people cut as long as 20 inches. So it's all going to depend on the size tag that you make. Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. So that's it for today. I'll be back. So I'll be back doing my Main Street celebration sew along, finishing that up. I will be live. I'm shooting for September 4th, September 4th. Yeah, because I can't, next week's my husband's birthday, so I'm waiting to start it after his birthday. So Thursday, September 4th is when I plan on starting the Candy Corn Quilt Shop sew along. And then I actually don't have a plan yet for September's Sip and Stitch. I do know it's going to be on Friday, September 26th, but I haven't picked a project yet. So stay tuned for that info. It'll be posted on the Sip and Stitch homepage when I have it ready. And I'll also announce it in my email newsletter I send out once a week with updates of things that are going on. If you want to join that, there should be a link down below to join the email newsletter list, and then I'll post it on Facebook and those kinds of things too. But that is all for today. Thanks everyone for joining me, and I will hopefully see y'all next time. All right, bye everybody.